In a few moments, Alyssa and Ryan will sing O Holy Night with their inimitable imperial voices, including that line, long lay the world in sin and error pining until he appeared and the soul felt its worth. So that's what I want to talk to you about this evening. I just want to tell you one story about that single line, long lay the world in sin and error pining until he appeared and the soul felt its worth. When I arrived here many years ago, I was overjoyed to discover that many of you admire Greg Boyle as much as I do. Greg Boyle is a Roman Catholic priest who serves the Dolores Mission in Los Angeles, which is the poorest parish in Los Angeles and home to the largest public housing project west of the Mississippi. There are 1,100 gangs in L.A., 86,000 gang members. About 30 years ago, Greg Boyle started a ministry to gang members called Homeboy Industries. You've probably heard about it. In those 30 years, Father Boyle has buried well over 200 young men and women, most of them gang members. Father Boyle's message is, nothing stops a bullet like a job. He says, stand in awe of what the poor have to carry rather than in judgment of how they carry it. Yes? Stand in awe rather than in judgment. Father Boyle joined the Society of Jesus, that's the Jesuit order, in 1972, which makes this year the 50th anniversary of his participation in the Jesuit order. In an LA Times article in celebration of that 50th anniversary, the author of that article called Father Gregory Boyle the patron saint of second chances. And that made me admire Father Boyle even more than I already did, because we all need a patron saint of the second chance, yes? We've all screwed up thoroughly, maybe multiple times, so that we need someone to stand with us and to own what's happened, and to confess it, and to start all over again. Now, maybe you're perfect. Maybe you don't need a patron saint of the second chance, but many of us do, so just sit there and listen quietly while I talk about this. We need somebody to reassure us that we have not ruined everything permanently. A life, a job, a marriage, a family, a friendship. We've not ruined everything permanently. We've not written the end. We've merely made a mistake. And so we need a patron saint of the second chance. You can't really call Jesus the patron saint of anything, so I will call him the Lord of the second chance. Greg Boyle is one of 8 children. He was raised in a huge, sprawling, rambling LA home with 2 wonderful parents, 5 sisters, and 2 brothers. And their mother would tell the 8 children constantly, never, never, never go in the attic, which of course is all the children needed to hear in order to start selling tickets to the attic. Come one, come all, the attic. And so one rainy afternoon, all 8 children are up in the attic. It's this gappy, planky, precarious place, and they're rooting around in the attic, and they come upon this recording on clay. Now, some of us are too young to remember when they made music recordings on plastic discs, let alone the clay ones that are even older. And so the kids take this recording downstairs, and they find their children's record player, and they surround themselves with the speakers, and they plop down on their bellies and prop their heads up with their hands and start listening to this recording. And of course, it's ancient and gappy and scratchy. It's not a good recording at all. But then they hear this beautiful, pure, crystalline voice singing, "O holy night, the stars are brightly shining. It is the night of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world in sin and error pining until he appeared and the soul felt its worth." And they're so enchanted by this beautiful music and this beautiful voice and this beautiful idea that they listen to it in the end, and then they discover the jacket that holds this clay recording, and it says Kathleen Conway. Kathleen Conway is their mother's maiden name. None of the children knew that she was an accomplished opera singer before she decided to have 8 children. And there's enchanted by this music. They can't believe that the same voice which bellows at them to come into dinner every evening belongs to this glorious music. And the kids love this music so much they play that recording over and over until the grooves are gone. Long lay the world in sin and error pining until he appeared and the soul felt its worth. One homie says, Father Greg returned me to God because I had so much sin and guilt over everything that I'd done. He makes me feel like I matter. Greg Boyle says, how is it not the job of everyone in this room to help the soul feel its worth? Yes? How is it not the job description of everyone in this room to help the soul feel its worth? If you don't have a patron saint of the second chance, then become a patron saint of the second chance for somebody else, because he is the Lord of the second chance.